The moment they told her to take off her uniform, the air changed. It wasn't loud. It wasn't dramatic. It was the kind of comment meant to shrink someone quietly, to remind them they didn't belong. A few people laughed. Others looked away. She stood there, a black woman in a place where doubt still spoke before facts, feeling every eye measure her worth in silence. What none of them realized was that the sky itself was about to answer back. She had arrived at the camp before sunrise, just like she always did. Boots polished, uniform pressed, mind focused. She didn't wear it for approval. She wore it because she had earned it. Every stripe, every patch came from years of training that left no room for shortcuts. She remembered the early days when she was underestimated, not because of her performance, but because of assumptions people made before she even spoke. The comment came from someone passing through, someone with authority but no context. A quick glance, a raised eyebrow, a suggestion that maybe she was in the wrong place, that maybe the uniform belonged to someone else. The words were calm, almost casual, which made them cut deeper. This wasn't confusion. It was disbelief. She didn't argue. She didn't defend herself. She had learned long ago that explaining your existence to people committed to misunderstanding you only drains energy better saved for purpose. She nodded once and walked away, leaving behind the whispers that followed her steps. As she moved across the tarmac, memories surfaced. Long nights studying systems most people never touch. Simulators that punished the smallest mistake. Instructors who pushed harder, questioned more, expected perfection. She welcomed it. Pressure had shaped her into someone precise, controlled, unshakable. Inside the briefing room, everything felt familiar, clear, grounded. This was where she belonged. Not in arguments, not in proving points with words, but in preparation, in action. She suited up methodically, each movement steady, practiced. The helmet felt like home. The checklist calmed her breathing. When she climbed into the cockpit, the world narrowed to focus and responsibility. Outside, the camp carried on, unaware. Inside, years of discipline aligned into purpose. The engines ignited, deep and powerful, and in that sound lived every answer she didn't need to say out loud. As the aircraft rolled forward, the uniform they questioned was already doing its job. And the sky was waiting. The ground crew stepped back as the aircraft taxied into position, the heat rippling behind it like a warning. Conversations around the camp slowed. Heads turned. Phones lifted. People who had dismissed her minutes earlier now watched with quiet confusion. This wasn't a routine departure. The markings on the jet made that clear. This was an F-22 Raptor, a machine trusted only to the best, a jet that didn't forgive hesitation or ego. Inside the cockpit, her hands moved with calm precision. She wasn't thinking about the comment anymore. She was thinking about wind speed, fuel balance, airspace clearance, the kind of details that separate fantasy from reality. The tower cleared her for takeoff, and her voice came through the radio steady, controlled, undeniable. In that moment, rank, race, and doubt dissolved into pure responsibility. The jet surged forward, accelerating faster than the mind could fully register. The ground dropped away, and the sky opened like a door she had spent her life unlocking. As the wheels lifted, a low roar rolled across the camp, rattling windows, silencing every lingering whisper. People shaded their eyes, watching the aircraft climb almost vertically, stunned by its power and grace. She pushed the jet higher, then banked hard, letting the Raptor show what it was built to do. The maneuver wasn't for show. It was a statement written in physics and trust. Each turn was smooth, each movement exact. Down below, disbelief gave way to awe. The same people who questioned her presence now stood frozen, realizing the truth far too late. She leveled out, then came back low, fast, and controlled. Sound hit the camp like thunder. Dust kicked up. Flags snapped violently in the wind. This wasn't anger. It wasn't revenge. It was competence made visible. Proof delivered at Mach speed. Inside the helmet, she allowed herself one small breath of satisfaction. Not pride. Validation wasn't the goal. Impact was. She knew what this moment meant, not just for her, but for anyone who had ever been told they didn't fit the picture someone else had in their head. As she climbed away again, the camp looked different, smaller, quieter. The uniform they wanted her to remove had spoken louder than any argument ever could. And the message was clear. Borrow her place here. She owned it. When the jet returned, it did so with the same control it had shown in the air. No rush, no theatrics, just precision. The landing was smooth, almost gentle, as if to remind everyone watching that mastery isn't loud, it's consistent. The engines powered down, and the sudden quiet felt heavier than the roar had been. Climbed out of the cockpit and stood for a moment, letting the heat fade. The uniform was exactly the same as before. Nothing had changed about it. What had changed was the room. Faces that once carried doubt now carried respect. Some looked embarrassed. Others looked thoughtful. No one laughed. An officer approached, posture straighter than before. The apology was brief and sincere. She accepted it with a nod, not because she needed it, but because growth deserves space. She didn't lecture. She didn't remind anyone of what was said earlier. The work had already done that for her. Later, as the camp settled back into routine, a young trainee found the courage to speak to her. He asked how she stayed composed when she was questioned like that. She smiled, not widely, but warmly. She told him that skill speaks even when you stay silent, and that preparation gives you confidence no opinion can take away. Story traveled quickly after that day, not as gossip, but as a lesson, about assumptions, about presence, about what real authority looks like. People remembered the sound of the jet, but they remembered her calm even more. As the sun dipped lower, she packed her gear and moved on to the next assignment. Announcement. No spotlight. Tomorrow would bring another mission, another test, another chance to do the work she trained for, and she would meet it the same way she always had. As the truth is, she never needed the sky to prove who she was, but when it did, everyone else finally understood.